Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. Oh, let's make us bigger here. Whoops. There we go.
Hey.
Uh, I'm a sales coach and trainer. I work internationally with both individuals and organizations to help them do one thing and one thing only, get measurable and sustainable sales increases. And the Sales Pro Network is dedicated to elevating the profession of sales and helping you make more money as you serve more wonderful clients. As you may know, if you've joined us before, every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, we do a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to a client-getting sales coach. And who doesn't want to know more about how to do that? Natasha Hemmingway. Good morning, Natasha.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm very excited to speak to you. I've been researching you, and boy, oh boy, I can't wait to hear what you've got going on. Before we get to all the wisdom that I know you're going to impart today, could you maybe give us the 2 or 3 minute background of what brought you up to this point? What made you into a sales coach?
Yeah. So I graduated from college with a biology degree, thought I wanted to go to med school, decided I'm not going to go to med school. And I'm like, okay, I need to be able to use my biology degree, which I actually love, science and biology. But I knew I could not be in anybody's lab because I love people and I like to talk. So that's not going to work. Looking at petri dishes and it's not it. Hot plates, no windows. I couldn't do it. So I stepped into the world of pharmaceutical sales at that time. It was like the hot thing in career. And I was like, let's try this. And just thanks to good people and getting an interview and moving into that. And then I found my passion that married my two loves, the one of being science and biology. And then the second part of that is being able to serve and help people, which is what sales is, right? And so I stepped into it and never looked back. I've done it I did that in corporate for 16 years and then moved into the entrepreneurial space and sales coaching and consulting and speaking and all that. So that's high level how I got here, and just have never went back. Sales is, I absolutely love the profession of sales and super passionate about it and can go on and on, but I digress. I'll be quiet.
You're not digressing at all. Why are you so passionate about sales? What do you love about it?
Yeah. What I love about sales is the fact that it's always happening around us. It doesn't matter whether you're selling a product or a service or your brand or an idea. We literally, my husband and I both are in sales, and we talked to our 9-year-old about it, right? It's like sales is always happening around you, and it's just speaking and communicating. And ultimately, my Enneagram, I am a Enneagram 3. So I'm a servant leader, and my wings are like 1. No, I'm Enneagram 2, servant leader. My wings are like 1 and 3. So perfectionist, the achiever, kind of a lot mixed up in there together. But it's like my heart as a servant leader, sales is just a beautiful match because in my mind, sales truly is serving, right? Like when I need something, I need someone to sell that to me. I need them to give it to me. So that person then in turn gets to do the thing that they're passionate about, or they're the expert at, and make my life easier, right? Like it's just an exchange. And so the passion behind it for me is when I started out, is being in medical device and pharma sales it was helping people with their health, helping people get to a solution, helping people better that. And I kept it that simple. I had to equate it to that quickly because I think we have these notions in our head around sales and the experiences you've had and what it feels like. And it's actually none of those things when you do it the right way and with the right intentions.
I think I finally met somebody who speaks as quickly as I do, and I love that because we're going to move along with a lot of stuff today.
Yep.
We're making stuff happen, Natasha, and I love what you said. Years and years ago, when I first heard Zig Ziglar speak, he said, "Stop selling, start serving." Because to me, it's exactly the same thing. Sales is serving the prospect, and if you can't serve them, your job is to let them know that you're not right for them and introduce them to somebody else. But we got to stop trying to put square pegs in round holes. It just doesn't make sense. And I think we're actually all selling. You kind of alluded to this. We're all selling all the time. We just are. We may not be a professional salesperson like you and I are, but everybody's selling. And I believe, if I'm correct, you primarily work with what I call a non-traditional seller, business owners who have to sell as part of their job, like maybe an accountant or some type of other service provider who they don't want to be in sales, but they have to. Why did you choose to focus on this type of what I call non-traditional seller?
Yeah. You know what? I think it just kind of evolved into that way because I look at the sales coaching side of my business and it very much is to a lot of times the non-traditional seller. And then on the consulting side, I'm working with the traditional seller, right? So I work with and consult for an international consulting firm, sales firm. I consult with an international pricing execution firm, and those are more traditional. But I think when I first started my business, it was just the sales coaching and me, and I wasn't back to my roots of consulting. And when I stepped into that and started, being on social media platforms and speaking and podcasting, that was who was coming to me. And honestly, I don't think it was like I picked it out. It was who was coming to me. And then I think when I recognized it, that's where I started to niche and go deeper, because those people have the most need, because they are the people who are afraid to sell. They don't like to sell. They have these myths and beliefs around sales. And so for me, I get excited about changing their mind and actually seeing them evolve into really understanding my whole brand sits under the umbrella of sell with heart, not hustle. Like, it's to the point that it's trademarked. It has a strategy behind it. So to take someone who does not love sales, who has these different feelings about sales, but they know they have to, especially it's their business. It's like to see them evolve into like, wow, like actually selling is serving. And the gifting that I have, when I talk about it, AKA sell it, I get to then in turn serve people, and I get to monetarily take their money with a smile on my face, with integrity in my heart, and not feel guilty. Like, to see people raise themselves into that confidence level and start to see our ROI, that matters, because that's someone's business. And I say this all the time, and I fully believe it, is that for those of us, and especially people who are non-traditional sellers, it is not enough to just be passionate about what you do. You also have to be profitable, because we need you to stay in business, right? So if you're going to be profitable, you have to be selling, right? You can't just be passionate. And so for me, I feel like some people who are sales coaches and stuff, they get annoyed with, they can kind of be like, that's not my client, I'd rather not. But for me, it's a challenge, and I enjoy that challenge, and I enjoy the journey with that type of client.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000,000%. I'd say about 75% of my clients are traditional salespeople. They work for a
Mm.
sales organization. Their job is to sell, but the other 25% is absolutely what you're doing too, non-traditional
Yeah.
sales. In fact, about, let's see, it's March, 5 or 6 months ago, I released for the first time on-demand training programs for sellers.
Love
And
it.
while they're designed for corporate sellers, they are absolutely 100% perfect for the
It's the same.
non-traditional seller who has no idea how to sell. They're winging it every day, and they're
Yep.
wondering why they're struggling. Because for me, all I ever teach anybody is the fundamentals, and I teach it in a way that, and I believe you do too, you can sell with integrity. I think you call it selling with heart.
Yes.
We'll talk more about that in a bit. But sell with
Yeah.
integrity, sell in a non-salesy way, so that you don't have to feel like you're pressuring people or talking somebody into something they don't want, because that's not what selling is about. That's what many people think it's about, but it
Yes.
absolutely isn't. So I'm with you 1,000,000%. And for many people, sales is really hard.
Mhm.
They I don't think it's an easy gig. I mean, there are much harder
No.
things to do, but it's not easy, but it doesn't have to be difficult. And
Right.
why is it that so many people make it harder than it needs to be? And how can they make it easier?
Yeah. I think people make it harder than it needs to be, because it starts in the mind, right? Like, nothing we do is absent from our mindset, right? So I think that people have these negative connotations associated with sales. And so they lead with that mindset. And also, we're usually not drawn to the thing that makes us uncomfortable. We're not drawn to the thing that is hard and that we don't want to do, because the profession of sales, it is not easy, like you said, Jeff. And I think also people don't understand the patience that you have to have with sales. And especially social media, I think, has exploited that, where it makes it like this belief that, like, oh my gosh, you do this, you do that, and I'm going to help you make 5K and 10K. And it's like, no, it's a process. And so I think people make it harder than what it is. But I think that's why, like you said, it's just as important for us to actually start shifting their mindset around truly what sales is. And I tell people, sales is not complicated. People are. We overcomplicate sales. Like you said, Jeff, it's the fundamentals. And it doesn't matter if it's what I'm teaching a corporation, like you said in your course, it's that on demand. And the same applies when you are a non-traditional seller. That's important for those same fundamentals to be in your business. And it's also this thing I tell my clients is like, I'm not absent from anything that I'm asking and telling you to do. I have to do the same thing in my business, in my sales process, in my sales strategy. Like, there's no way of getting around it. Everybody has a different way to communicate and their style, but I think people overcomplicate sales way too much. And I think it starts with the mindset, but I also think it starts with people not understanding that sales is a skill set. It is not a personality trait, because Jeff, I'm sure you hear this where people are like, I'm just not good at sales. Like, I don't like it. I'm not good at it. Like, I don't even, and I'm like, I wasn't born good at it. Like, it's not a personality trait I was born with. It's a skill set. So people don't understand that they need the training. And Jeff, I know you probably agree with this, is people are quick to hire branding coaches, social media strategists, content experts, all this, website designers, all of that. And they want to do all these things. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I actually need to now start focusing on sales, because even though all those things are great and they're necessary, you can literally sell whatever you have. You can either go on the street and sell it, or you can have a Zoom link and a way to take payment and sell what you have. But people forget about that. So that's why I love linking up with other people who are in the sales profession, because it amplifies our voices and people's understanding of why you need to invest into sales coaching, training, consulting, whatever you want to call it. You need it, because if you don't have the skill set, you need it. It's like me being like, oh yeah, I'm an accountant. No, I'm not. I'm not an accountant. I need an accountant to go help me understand my P&L, understand my expenses. Like, and that's, I think, what is starting to change is people are realizing, oh, I just don't need a generic coach. Like, I actually should get trained and learn the profession of sales, a process, a strategy, and understand why it's important in my business and how I operate my business through those fundamentals.
Yeah. And while I certainly think that it's very useful for most people to invest with somebody like you or me, there's a bunch of books sitting right behind me. There's 2 more bookcases in my home office here, filled with books about sales. Go read a book. Go watch a video. I think that so many of them, and I still read just about every sales book that comes out, because I don't know everything. You never know when somebody's going to come out with something that's new that really is effective. But most of them are just way too complicated. I happen to be a fan of the book, The Challenger Sale, but you read that book, it makes perfect sense. It's just hard to do. If you're an enterprise organization with a lot of money to invest to change your culture, you can do it. But for the average seller, especially the ones that you're talking about, the business person who has to sell as part of their job, they're not going to be able to do that stuff. They need something that's a simple step-by-step process. And I also love what you said about patience. It does take patience to be in sales. I call it, you have to be patiently impatient. You got to continually move things forward, but it does take time. And one of the things that I'd like to hear what you have to say about this, but one of the things that I switched my own thinking on about, I'd say 7 or 8 years ago, I used to teach salespeople, you got to control everything in the process from start to finish. And about 7, 8 years ago, I had this realization, we don't have much control. The prospect lets us meet with them or not. They have the money or not. They're going to sign the contract or not. All we can do is the best we can and follow a process and continually try to move the thing forward. Other than that, it's not in our control.
No. But it's so funny how people associate their mindset with like thinking that they do have control. Like, oh my gosh, I've got control over their money, or whether they don't have money. I'm like, no, you don't. I have control over their yes or no. No, you don't. What you have control over is exactly what you said, Jeff, is that you have control over moving the sales process and the ball forward, helping them move forward, holding them accountable to the intention or the growth that they say they desire. Like, that's what you do have control over. But it is so fascinating. But I think when people get that and it starts to click and they're understanding and they understand how to put the pieces together and they have someone holding them accountable, because I tell people, I'm not for everybody. I'm not saying hire me. Jeff may be the best person for you. Or like Jeff said, it might be the book Go for No or Challenger Sale, or there's 50 million books, literally. It might be a video. It might be a course online, whatever it is, figure it out. Because if you don't have it figured out, you are going to lose that most foundational, fundamental piece to your business. It has to be paid attention to. It has to. And so, but it's amazing.
Here's the other thing that sellers have control over, which they typically don't realize or take responsibility for. And I used to say, and most studies used to agree, that the number one thing that salespeople do that causes them to not be successful is they don't ask for the order. They never try to close because they don't want to hear the rejection. However, I think that's become number two, because to me, the number one reason that salespeople fail today, and when I say salespeople, I'm talking about traditional and non-traditional, they're simply not speaking to enough prospects. The one thing you can control, besides moving the sale forward when you've got a live prospect, is consistently and effectively prospecting to make sure that at all times you're speaking to enough people based on your closing ratio and your average dollar volume per sale and all that stuff, to make sure you're always talking to enough people and putting them in the top of the funnel, because you and I both know not everybody comes out the bottom.
Absolutely. Listen, this spot on. This is the thing. And whatever way you want to number it of priority, but you are absolutely right. Because people are like, well, I didn't close that sale. I'm like, okay, so who else are you talking to? You can't sell who you're not talking to. So your activity for lead line, your lead lane pipeline, your pipeline flow, your top of the funnel, however you want to say it, that has to be continuously focused on. But what happens is people are like, I hope somebody comes to me. I hope they talk to me. And I'm like, you have to do what we call those IPA, income producing activities. But we get so caught up on doing non-income producing activities because we're trying to avoid the thing that we really don't want to do, which is sell. And I'm like, let me tell you, it doesn't work. If you're not talking to people, you're not selling to anyone. Like, so you can't be consistently like, oh, I'm working on my sales process. That's why I tell people when they come to me about coaching, I'm like, listen, I need you doing the work, being in conversation with clients while you're with me, like with potential clients while you're with me. It does no good for you to sit and listen to me, for us to coach, for us to talk through scenarios. We need to be talking to people. So it's like, this is interactive coaching as we go. I'm not here just to teach you the process and then you leave and then you do nothing, because your mindset's already in the game. You're already struggling with that. You have that barrier of not wanting to do the thing that you're uncomfortable with and all the things of rejection and hearing no. Like, these first things have to be focused on. It's just like I consult in a friends group and she's focused on lead management, like lead magnets and bringing leads in through LinkedIn. And it's like, it's a perfect marriage, because it's like, that's great. You got to get the leads in, but then you got to convert the leads, right? So that's a separate work. So I always say she does the front end. I help them with the middle and the back end. And those things are perfectly married, but you're exactly right. Like, if you are not focused on getting leads in the pipeline or in your pipeline, who are you talking to?
You're not.
And people,
you're screwed.
They don't want to do the activity. People want to focus on videos and TikToking and link. I mean, and those things are important. Do not get me wrong. However, there are also basic things that you need to be doing to talk to people. And it's like, it can't just be hung up in all these. Yes.
I love acronyms. And I think you said IPAs. Was that it? Income producing activities? Yeah.
Yes.
Love that. I call them RGAs, which is the same thing. Revenue generating activities. Yep. I'm a visual learner, so I have signs that I've created for myself all over the office. And the one that sits right behind my camera and my monitor says, am I doing the thing at this moment that's most likely to result in income? And I constantly stare at it and I ask myself that question. And if the answer is no, I know I need to be doing something else. Because look, we're all human. It's very easy to have shiny object syndrome. And you said it earlier, we tend to not want to do the things that are hard. But that's often what we need to do in order to be successful.
Right. Jeff, I love that. And I love that you have that sign. Like, I'm about to steal that and put that like behind my two monitors, literally, because it's like, it goes back to the fact that I tell people, we are no different than you. Jeff and I have chose this profession. We chose to be experts in this profession and have the years and the training, the experience, and all of that to be able to, with integrity, lead, coach, consult people, because we truly are. This is our profession, right? And we have certifications and all those things. But also, we are still just like you as business owners, that we have to apply and execute on the very same fundamentals that we tell our clients to do. We have to. And so I'm like, I can't, it's not magic. It's really not. It's not rocket science. It's sticking to the fundamentals and doing those things consistently and trying not to get, like you said, caught up in like shiny objects and get run off.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm very big on in life and sales is integrity. I teach sellers to sell with integrity, because you don't have to lie. And if you and I, or anybody who does what we do, is teaching people to do things that we're not actually doing, we're out of integrity. The only thing I teach people to do is exactly what I do. I'm not making it. I didn't sit down and go, gee, what can I sell? What would really work if I told people this? It's like,
Yeah.
here's what I do. You can do it too. I've said this once or twice before, but my oldest daughter graduated college last May. She's with a degree in aerospace engineering. She's literally a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be in sales. Isn't that great?
Yeah. So is that saying that your daughter is smarter than you, Jeff?
Oh, she's smarter than you and me put together. Right? And by the way, I'm pretty damn smart. I have a high IQ. I'm a member of Mensa. I'm convinced she's way smarter. I don't. Here's how good she is at arguing. She waits for somebody to say to her, "What are you, a rocket scientist?" Because she goes, "Yep, I actually am."
Yep, I am. Congrats to your daughter. That's amazing.
Thanks. Well, the other two graduate in May. I'll have them all out of college. I'm very excited.
Wow. So you have three, right? You said all three
kids. Yeah, 16 months apart. The older one is 22, and the twins are 21. But we digress. Yeah. My ex-wife was a very busy lady for a long, long time. Thank goodness they're all adults now. One's off the payroll. Hopefully, two more in May. Anyways,
got it.
Why is a sales strategy? Why is that the foundation of any business?
Yeah. So I always say you have two parts, right? You've got the sales process and you have the sales strategy. The sales process is that foundational part of your business as well, right? The sales process is that rinse and repeat system that is established in your business. You've done the work, right? To establish that, drill it down, document it, put it into your CRM or wherever you want to keep it, and follow it and execute on it, right? And it's also the thing that allows you to scale or hire salespeople or literally scale, truly. But that is that thing and it also holds you accountable. That has to be there. The strategy, the way I describe the sales strategy is how do you go and get it, right? What does your strategy look like? Sometimes your strategy is seasonal based off your business. Sometimes your strategy may look different based off of your sales cycle, right? And your deal cycle, but that sales strategy needs to be in there because that's how you go execute, right? And I kind of say, like your playbook, right? We have sales playbooks. A lot of people don't know what that is, but in regards to sales playbook, if you think about it in sports, it is the actual playbook and the strategy that you go to on how to run the play, how to run the ball. If this happens, how do we actually run on defense? How do we run on offense? How do we actually keep moving the ball forward to ultimately get to the goal that we want? And those goals have to be established in your business. That has to be part of your strategic planning. I was just talking to a consultant client yesterday about that, right? The strategic planning, the goals, how are we executing on those things? Those things have to be in your business. Otherwise, you're doing exactly what you said earlier. And I say the same thing is you're winging it and hoping for the best, knowing that you're running your head straight into a train and it's going to eventually fail, right? And my thing is, I don't want anyone losing their business or stressing and being overwhelmed around money simply because you haven't done the work to get a sales process in place and to have a sales strategy that you can actually consistently execute on.
Yeah, 100%. I'm laughing inside because I often tell people, anybody who's doing this right, we're all pretty much saying the same thing. We're just using different words. So you call it the playbook. The very first thing I do with a new coaching client is number one, let's establish a financial goal, not me telling them what it should be. What's your goal? And let's get a commitment to it. But the second thing is, what's your business plan? Which you're calling a sales strategy or a play. It's the same thing. How are you going to get to that goal? What are the things you're going to do? Because if you don't know, you are winging it. And you said it. Hope's not a great strategy. Not when it comes to making money. You better know what you're doing. And you can always create a plan and change it if it's not working, but you got to have something to go by. And you also say not only sales strategy, but you also say no sales process equals no sales. Doesn't everybody have a sales process? And if not, how can they go about developing one?
Yeah. You know what I find is a lot of people don't know what a sales process is. And therefore they don't have one. I have been in several rooms, spoken at several conferences, international and national. I mean, like where I'm like, okay, how many of you have a sales process in your business? And they're like, and I'm like, okay, let's back up. How many of you know what a sales process is? And I tell them it's okay. Like, that's why I'm here, is to help you learn and grow and understand that, because I understand you don't speak sales. Jeff and I, we speak sales. I don't care if it's going through certifications, all these things that we've done, or being in it over 25 years, yada, yada, yada. We speak this language. But I also don't expect people to understand that. And that's why I think there's so much room and growth for our industry of truly certified people who actually know the profession of sales, to actually coach people, train people, consult with people, because there are a lot of people that really don't know. Like they don't know. Sometimes I don't even think they know that sales is their problem. They think it's their pricing. They think it's their marketing. They think it's their website. They think they're not discounting enough. They think it's all types of things. And sales is like this last thing that comes down to it. And it's like, I don't think a lot of people have a sales process because number one, I don't think they know what it is, truly. And number two, I don't think that they associate it to, I'm having issues with sales because I don't know how to sell. They think that social media and all these other things are supposed to sell it for them, and marketing and spending on ads, and that's not it. So it's like, yeah, that's what I think. But we have to have it in the business. We absolutely have to. And I will say this to the non-traditional sellers, solo entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneur, whatever, SMBs, whatever, however you want to say it. You are not alone, because believe it or not, there are actual, and I know you're laughing, Jeff, because you know it's true, is that there are actually a lot of, I would say, medium-sized businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses that I've consulted with that don't have a sales process. Literally, they don't. Their owner, they've hired other people. Their owner is still the primary seller. They don't have a process documented. They don't have a strategy. They've just been doing it. And a lot of their gravitas has taken them a long way. But now they start being like, whoa, I can't do all this. I'm being pulled in too many directions. I need to hire a salesperson, or I need to hire a sales manager. And I'm like, oh, And then they find out, they go through a couple of them. They let go of them because they're frustrated with them, because they're like, they're not selling. I'm still the one. And I'm like, my first question is, do you have a sales process and a sales strategy for them to follow and execute on to be successful at? And the answer is no. Okay, so let's back up. Now we got to establish this foundation, lay it out, and then start implementing it. And then we can work on hiring people. So I just want to say, people are not alone in that. It's not just you. It's a problem across the board, I find.
100%. I actually disagree slightly. I think everybody does have a sales process. They're just not aware of it. They're winging it, and they don't know what they're doing something. Here's what constantly stuns me. So we're talking about the non-traditional seller, but I often consult to companies and I help them with their hiring salespeople. Not that I'm a recruiter, but I've done this a long, long time. And I was a sales recruiter for 5 years. I owned a recruiting company. I can't tell you how many times I've said to a professional salesperson, not a non-traditional seller, somebody looking for a job in sales who's done sales before, tell me about your sales process. They have no idea what I'm talking about. And when I explain to them, oh, well, first I establish rapport, then I ask questions. Oh, I see. Yeah, I do that too. Well, if you're not aware of it, how are you going to do it? You're winging it. You're hoping for the best.
Yeah. And you know what? That's such a good point, and two different ways to look at it, but also saying the same thing, right? It's just the unawareness of what you're doing, and actually knowing that that thing has different stages and phases. And like, it's literally documented. It's the same thing that we learn from all these companies. Like, I will say this, major med device, pharma, they're known for having some of the best sales training. When you can take a process and you can duplicate it amongst 500, thousands and thousands of people, and get them to go out and actually execute on that thing and do that thing and actually drive up numbers and revenue and profit, then report that to Wall Street, and that business can be successful. They have some of the best sales training. And with that said, you as a business owner, you don't usually have that. Or if you're a small business, you don't have that. So it's recognizing that and understanding, wow, there's an opportunity for us to really establish this and grow from it, because what we're doing and winging it is not working, and it's not consistent also, and it's not predictable.
100%. We're about halfway through. We're talking to Natasha Hemmingway, sales coach who teaches people how to sell with confidence. We'll be back in 60 seconds after a word from our sponsor, which is me. Hi, I'm Jeff Goldberg, the founder of the Sales Pro Network. For nearly 5 decades, I've been selling, managing, coaching, and training salespeople internationally. And I'm often asked for one-on-one or private coaching, but it does involve a substantial investment. For that reason, I've recently developed the Sales Pro Insider Network community. It works like this. We get together twice a month on Tuesday nights from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. At the first session of the month, it's you and me, with me taking your questions and giving you the advice and help you need to both prospect and sell more effectively. At the second session of the month, we'll have a guest coach speaking on a fascinating topic that helps sellers like you and me. And of course, we'll do group coaching then too. The best part is the investment is just $27 for the first month, and there's no long-term contract at all. In fact, you can cancel at any time. Go to crushsalesgoals.com. That's crushsalesgoals.com. I hope to see you there. We're back with Natasha Hemmingway. Natasha, you are a sales coach and you work with sellers to help them sell with heart, not hustle. Don't we
Yep.
need to hustle to be successful in sales? And how do we go from hustling to selling with heart?
No, I don't think you need to hustle. I think you need to be consistent. I think you need to execute on the fundamentals and also have the confidence to lead from a place of confidence, ease, and grace. Because when you're doing the fundamentals right, it leads to sales, right? But it's like when we're not doing those things, that's where we get in that type of hustle energy. And I always say, the three pillars to sales success are communication, energy, and and those two fall in the bucket of mindset, and then your sales process, which then connects down to the strategy. When you look at those things, it's communicating with people, right? And the energy that you lead with. Nobody wants to be hustled. So why are you doing it to other people? You don't even like it. That's why people are like, sales. And I'm like, because you've had a bad experience. So don't be the person that gives someone else the bad experience. Being consistent, being a motivated to actually grow towards that goal. Sure. Hustling, no. And I think the lead from heart place is really, it's actually just caring about the person that's in front of you and the solution or the problem that they have, the solution they desire, the goal that they desire. And if that's in alignment, how do you help them get there? Because in your sales call or sales conversation, it's never about you. Truly, it's not. It's about the person that's there for you to serve. So it's finding out what they need, why they need it, and then lastly, being able to tell them how you can best support them. And like you said, Jeff, it's out of integrity. If you cannot help them, be honest with them and refer them to somebody else, because your hustle energy shows up in those spaces when you're like, I need somebody to say yes, or you're worried about the lack of money in your bank account and trying to take money. That is when you start getting out of integrity, out of alignment. People have bad experiences. You're not going to get good reviews. You're not going to get referrals. You're not going to really win in that continue phase of your sales process. You're going to lose there, because you actually brought people into your process through your process, right? And you sold them in a way that wasn't in integrity. And so it's never, ever about the hustle. It truly is always about the heart, which is simply, it's about the person that's in front of you that you're there to serve. And that, let's be honest too, Jeff, like they're interested in you. Like that's why they're taking time with you, because they're interested in you. But our mind is like, I need to convince them. They might not like me. And I'm like, they're already there because they're somewhat convinced. So you're part of the way there. But when you effectively learn how to lead a sales call and actually walk people through that and how to do it from a place of heart, not hustle, the rest starts to fall in line, right? And then those other phases you learn as you go, I think. But yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked about that, because I was confused. What you're talking about is what I call commission breath. If you're desperate for the sale, if you're trying to push somebody into something, you're not going to do it. And I confused when you said hustle. I was thinking you got to work hard, but you're saying don't be a hustler. Don't con people. Yes, we have a bit.
Yeah.
One of the purposes of the Sales Pro Network is to elevate the profession of sales. I've been selling nearly 50 years, and I have certainly early in my career been out of integrity and said and did things just to close a deal, which were lies or misleading, or and at actually the age of 31, I made a commitment to myself that I would never again ever lie to make money. I want to be able to sleep at night and serve people. But
Yes.
I do believe though that you have to work both hard and smart. That's what I thought you meant with hustle. So I got it 100%. But there's something else that in looking at you and doing my research seems to be incredibly important to you, and that's you are very faith-based. You help people actually go from fear to faith. How does one's faith affect selling, or how does your faith affect your selling?
Yeah, I think for me, faith is just a part of my life and who I am and how I show up. And it's kind of threaded into every component of my life. So I think it naturally comes into even about praying about who I interact with and who I say yes to, because everyone that says yes to me might not be the right place or the right person. So I think it's just, that's a part of my life. And the fear to faith cycle, it is trademark. And it is one of those things that for some people, they perceive it fully faith-based. For other people, they see it in believing in whatever that thing is or having faith in whatever that thing. So it shows up for people very differently. For me, that fear to faith cycle was coming from a place of when we lost our full-term son and went through that experience and still going back to work and doing all these things and being in corporate sales, and then, achieving a long awaited promotion, and ended up being the only African-American female senior territory sales manager across the country, across the division, and then finding out months later just to be pushed out of my job. Like, so for me, that fear to faith cycle literally showed up in a time in my life to really understand this cycle of the life event, right? And the things that we experience and fear and how it shows up and how your mindset is 1000% important in everything that you do. I don't care if it's sales, if it's your business, if it's your relationship at home, something that you're going through, it's so important. So literally that was given to me by God, like that whole cycle when I was in a dark place of trying to understand and figure out, like, what am I even good at anymore? Like, what are my next steps? How am I supposed to show up? And we had just not too long ago lost our full-term son. And then I was pregnant again quickly. I mean, it was all of those things. So that fear to faith cycle is interesting how I've keynoted on it. It's trademarked and it shows up for different people in so many different ways. And then they get to share their story with me of how they perceive it or what they've went through. So, and I use it with my clients all the time. And I tell people it's never about religion for me. It's about relationship and it's about faith and it's about your mindset and however you perceive it. I don't judge you. That's your business, but I can only speak from my standpoint. And I am a person that I know who I am. I know whose I am. And I know how I get through different challenges that I've, like we all have, had to face that, you know, if my mindset and my faith were not strong, I don't know where I would be truly. So that is what that stands for and how it shows up for people. And I tell people it's never about one particular faith or this or that. It's meant to impact people and shift people through fear so that they can actually make choices and take action from a place of truth versus fear.
Got it. Love that. You also have a course called Hello Clients, Hello Cash. I love the name. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that came from when I first started out. I tried to do group coaching and I'm like, no, this is not the timing for that. It needs to be one-on-one coaching. Did one-on-one coaching for years and years and years and still do. And then that course came out of one-on-one coaching because Jeff, I know that you know this one-on-one coaching, when you have had our experience, our expertise, the intellectual property that we have in our little brains, the work that we've done, it's not cheap to invest in a one-on-one coaching with us. It is an investment as it rightfully should be, right? As we really are impacting people and their business and their sales and their profitability and all those things. So with that said, there were people that kept asking, well, is there another way to work with you that's not one-on-one, that is more affordable? And so we did the market research, we did the studies, we asked people what they wanted, and we took almost like a year to fully develop that in the back end and the funnels. And it's taken on its own iterations. It's trademarked at this point. It's taken on its own life, right? And it's been reiterated. We actually just updated it last fall up until this winter and relaunched it again and brought community into it because people wanted the community component that's free, but then there's also the paid version. So Hello Clients, Hello Cash really came from clients. And I used to run it as a live mastermind and we would cap it at 20 people. And it was fun, but it's a lot. It is a lot. And God was like, and that was nice. And now we're going to not be doing that live. And so we went through months, like almost 2 years of it being live, a year and a half, 2 years being live. And then we moved to where it's evergreen because it's not realistic I can't impact multiple people at 20 people in a 3-month span only. Right? Like that's just not feasible if you're really trying to impact people. And so then it moved to that iteration. And then we also dropped it and made it more affordable for people because there are multiple ways and streams and opportunities for people to learn. You can buy a book. You can invest into, like you said, your training through the commercial, where it's affordable for people and palatable for people to be able to receive this knowledge, to be able to change their trajectory and their business, which is why we do what we do. Right? It's like we want people to be profitable from a place of integrity. And so that's where Hello Clients, Hello Cash was birthed from, is from clients, from people asking and being able to serve them in that way. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny how things work in parallel. For years and years, I've had people come to me, Jeff, I want you to be my coach. And, it is a substantial investment. Not everybody has that money. The sad thing to me is the people who need it the most can't really afford it. And I struggled for years. How can I figure out how to serve more people and still make money myself? And that's when I developed my on-demand programs, as well as the group coaching that you saw in the commercial. way more
Yeah.
affordable. I do not think it's going to be as effective as a one-on-one session with somebody like you or
Right.
myself, but still very effective and much more affordable. And hopefully, my hope is that after a while of doing that, people can actually afford to, because they're closing their
Yes.
business, they're making more money, and they can invest in somebody like you or myself.
Yep.
You've mentioned something else a couple of times, and I want to just go into it a little deeper because I believe the same thing. When I work with clients, I say it's about 60, 65% skills and tips and tools and techniques, and the rest of it,
Mm.
35, 40%, it is mindset. How does
Yeah.
mindset shape the sales journey?
Oh gosh. It's everything. I think it is so much. I always say this, it is that iceberg, right? You know, how everybody's seen the little Pinterest image where it's the iceberg and it's what you can see. I always say the sales skills is what you can see. And it's actually the it's a heavy portion of it, but it's what you can see and it's what is easily tackled. But the biggest part and that big chunk under that iceberg that really requires a lot of work is the mindset piece, right? And it is, I think, woven into every fabric because there's so many things. Because at the end of the day, when you're selling, you're engaging with another human, period. Their perceptions, their struggles, what they need. And then you also have your own agenda or goal or desire to support that person in the way that you believe. And you have a desired outcome that you want to see. And so what happens is it's just the human nature that when you don't have that training and you haven't done the mindset work, is that you start to make it about you. Because as humans, we are naturally selfish. We sometimes are so worried about everybody else when everybody else is worried about themselves just like you are, right? Truly. Everybody's walking around worried about themselves and their situation. And naturally, as humans, we show up that way. So there's this process of learning and understanding that when you are in that space and you are in a sales process, you are always having to pull yourself out of yourself and to make it about showing up and serving for that person. So that is mindset work. And people's past, their triggers, their trauma, all that comes into play, Jeff. All of it shows up, right? Even down to pricing. When I work with a pricing execution firm, that international firm, I love the work that we get to do there because it is simple, it is straightforward, and the majority of it is mindset because it's your own money story, your own money trigger. All of it shows up. So it's never not a part of your sales process. It's not.
Yeah, mindset makes an immense difference.
Yeah.
And when I hire salespeople, my belief is I can train anybody how to sell, but I can't train you how to have integrity. I can't train you how to be friendly. I can't train you how to be competitive. I can't train you how to make a lot of money. So I look to hire people who have the qualities that I can't train you on because I can always train you or make you into a
Yeah.
better salesperson than you already are. But there's something else you talk about that. Once again, I also am very big on. You help people with getting rid of head trash. Can you explain for people what is head trash and how do we get rid of it?
Yeah. Head trash is the stuff that you believe that usually is not even true. And you don't really have any backup or merit to say, oh, that's true. So it's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not capable of building this business. I'm not able to scale it. I'm not making money. There's something wrong with my product or my service. It's like all of the negative talk or imposter syndrome. It's all those things. And I tell people, you need to check up from the neck up. Like I'm going to give that to you because I tell people, if you're investing into me, especially one-on-one coaching, like this is a personal thing. This is not transactional. I am up in your business. I am all in your business and I want to know about your business. So that means what's going on in your head? What are you struggling with? Because what good does it do if we can't get underneath that stuff? I'm just going to be wonk, wonk, wonk talking to you about skill set and you're over here struggling with all this other stuff. I tell people, I'm not your therapist. However, I'm going to call those things out. I want to know about you. I want to learn about you so that we can get underneath those things. You can have an awareness, right? Because I truly believe this. Self-awareness is the gateway to success. When you can see those things and see those things that you're struggling with, then you can figure out how you want to go about addressing them. But the head trash is all the negative talk. It's all the stuff that you don't believe about yourself. I love, love, love documentaries. And I especially love sports documentaries, especially or docuseries, because I'm a former competitive gymnast. And it is so much mindset is involved. I mean, and when you look at athletes, I was watching this docuseries that I absolutely love. It's a sports docuseries on Netflix, and the new season just came out. And when you look at it, even them, everybody has a coach. Everybody has a coach. If you're really wanting to grow, you got to have the work ethic and all those, but everybody has a coach. And you know what most people are really actually starting to shift towards now in sports, and especially like professional sports, is sports psychologists, right? And sports psychology head coaches, right? Where they're actually helping them through that. So I think it's just acknowledging it, understanding it's part of it, understanding you are a human, right? And you have experiences and you've had struggles. And it's like understanding and having the awareness of how those things show up in your business, because there's, you know, they're like, oh, work-life balance. And, you know, if you got business in your personal life, I'm like, no, you're one human. All of those things are melded in and they're always happening. So how do you get better at that? I literally work on it with my 9-year-old. Like we're listening to a book and we've been listening to it for the whole year. And literally something that we've been working on and talking about mindset wise, every time it's so funny. My son will be like, it's so interesting how I'll be struggling with this and we talk about it. And then we go and listen to this book because we have certain days that we listen to this audiobook on the way to school. He's like, and it'll talk about it. And I'm like, isn't that like, we all have to work on it. We do. So it's just, let's acknowledge the head trash. Let's get the checkup from the neck up and be consistent with doing the work. So
I'm with you, Natasha. And from a very young age, I have been, let's call it, training my kids to have the right mindset, because there is a
yes.
mindset that winners have. And I'm guessing you've already seen this one, but and I don't remember the name of it, but there is a Netflix documentary about Michael Jordan. And if you want to see mindset, just take a look at that documentary. There's a guy who had the right mindset 100% of the way. You can't beat him mentally. That's just,
no.
You've seen that one, right?
Yes, I've seen that one. I've seen Shaq's. I've seen literally. I climbing documentaries. I watch them all, and I'm like literally. I can go on. And you're right. It's like, it's their mindset, you know. And I tell people this all the time. You know, fear. There's no such thing as fearless. It just doesn't exist, right? You're going to experience fear, but what's most important is how do you move through the fear? Because I don't care who you're talking about, whether it's Oprah, Bill Gates, Michael Jordan, whatever. The only difference between them and you is they're choosing to move through the fear, and they choose how to focus on their mindset and reset it. When you can do that, you are unstoppable. Because anybody in this world can tell you you're not worth anything, you're not going to amount to. People can talk those things on you, over you, and you can choose to decide to take those things on, carry that burden, or shift your mindset. But it's up to you. It's up to you. And you have to make that conscious decision, which as an adult, hello, it's called self-awareness. Are you aware, and are you willing to work on it?
Yeah. And I personally think fear is okay. What's not okay is letting fear stop you. And you said it. How do you work through it? I think it was actually Michael Jordan also who said, you got to go under, over, or through it, and you just got to beat your way through. And I think you just said you like climbing documentaries. My kids make fun of me constantly because I am obsessed with Everest. I'm obsessed with the people who climb. I would love to do it. I don't have what it takes. I mean, that looks incredibly painful. I'm not that concerned about the danger because I like adventure, but boy, I'm not willing to go through that pain. And that takes real mindset. I am obsessed with it.
I have some great documentaries for you that are climbing documentaries. We can talk offline, but I've got a couple that I can rip off for you.
I want to give more value, but do you by any chance have one of these, MetaQuest?
I don't.
So these are VR glasses.
Yes, hold on.
There's some VR stuff about climbing Everest. It's incredible because you're there.
Really?
I mean, it's amazing.
Wow.
In fact, just the other day, I had to look up, how do they film that stuff in VR? There are actual cameras that do a 360. It's amazing. But there's like a 3-part series on climbing Everest. It's astoundingly good. And the VR glasses make you feel like you're there.
So wait, phenomenal. So is it like VR? I got to plug in, Jeff.
That's it's Meta, META. They're called Quest. Okay. Apple just came out with one also, but they're substantially more expensive. If I didn't already have this one, I'd probably buy the Apple ones because they look way cooler. But this is it's amazing. Anyways, let's move on. Because I do love acronyms. You have another one. How to live powerfully rich, RICH life, and what that means for sales and business. What do those letters stand for you, and what is that all about?
Hold on. I have a alarm that is literally about to go off, and I don't want to do that to you. So I'm like, let me shut that off real quick, because I know it's going to pop up. So I'm sorry. All right.
No
So
worries.
when you talk about living, shut it off. And I thought I put it in airplane mode. Clearly, I did not. Gotta love podcasts. Hey, you guys, this is real life, though, right? I'm all about keeping it real. Okay.
Technology is great when it works, right?
I know. I know. And for some reason, my phone is like breathing and it doesn't want to shut it off. Okay. Do you get to, I mean, obviously, you can't edit real time what's happening,
Well,
but I
while
got
you're doing there, John Hill, who's a longtime listener, says a coach. By the way, John, you're quoting Vince Lombardi. A coach is someone who tells you what you don't want to hear, who has you see what you don't want to see, so you can be who you always know you could be. I think he actually said a great coach, which also sounds like a great sales manager, is someone who gets you to do the things you don't want to do in order to
yes.
be the person that you want to be. So tell us
Yes.
about Rich Life.
Okay. Rich life. Rich life stands for remarkable, intentional, courageous, heart not hustle life, right? So we acronymed it because I am really big on I cannot stand when people are like, "Oh, well, are you going to help me make 10K?" Because and I understand where people are coming from because it's so much the message on social media around coaching and take this course or coach with me and I'm going to teach you how to make 10K and I'm like, last time I checked, nobody out here can guarantee anything. I don't have a magic wand. I am not God. I cannot pop you over the head and make dollars fall out at your bottom. Like I'm just that person. I'm gonna be real and honest. And so it's funny because I'm really, really intentional about heart, not hustle. I'm very, very intentional about not being out of integrity and always caring about the money. It's like, do what you know you're supposed to do, which is showing up for the people and the money will come. I promise you. So when we started like updating Hello Clients, Hello Cash and the website page and all that, I was like, Rich, like, let's play off of that because it is so the thing that people desire. And it's the thing that makes people go like, ching, like, oh, yeah, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. But when people read through it, it's like, no, this is about being remarkable, intentional, courageous, and doing it from a place of heart, not hustle. And so that's where the rich life comes from, is operating from that place so that you can actually live that type of life. Because nobody really truly wants to live a hustle life. Nobody wants to be completely rich and unhappy. Like there's a lot of that in our society. And I don't like it. I'm so against it. So my message is all about those things, those four things.
Love that. And you saw me laughing again because when I started working with my most recent coach, who, by the way, is the most amazing coach I've ever met in my entire life. She's amazing. And actually, I thought I was interviewing her to see if I wanted her to be my coach. She was actually interviewing me to see if she wanted to work with me.
Oh, I love it. I need to know who she is afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. She's phenomenal. But one of the things she said to me in that conversation was, Jeff, if you are coming to me to make more money, don't. That's not what I do for people. I help people become the best version of themselves. But I will tell you this, Jeff, everybody who works with me makes more money. And goddamn if I didn't, absolutely, positively. And she helped me become a better human, change my relationship with my ex-wife. Just amazing. She's a transformational coach. And she's world-class. There's none better.
That right there is what you talked about. Because what does it matter if you make a lot of money and you're not integrity? You make people feel not good about interacting with you. You're not happy in your personal life. What is it worth? It's worth nothing. But to see that, like what you just explained and how it's transformed your life, like that is the power of coaching. And that is the power of this industry that people, I think it has just become and gotten a bad rep sometimes. And it's like, but no, there are really people out here who actually genuinely care and who are also receiving coaching themselves. Like I tell them, I'm like, if you don't have a coach that's invested in growth themselves at some point and periodically, run, because we also invest into ourselves. And I love to hear that, Jeff. That's awesome.
Oh, I've spent countless dollars and countless hours in seminar rooms and working with one. I mean,
yes.
Look, what's it about if you don't want to become the best version of yourself? You're just kind of making it through life until you die. I want to be the best being I can possibly be. And I want to help my children turn into the best them they can be. And everybody I work with, I want them to be the best them. I see we're quickly running out of time and I've got 8 million more things I want to talk to you about. So one of your areas of expertise is social selling. And I'd love to hear, what are some of your best tips for creating posts that stop readers in their tracks and actually gets them to pay attention?
Be yourself and actually operate out of your expertise and genuineness and authenticity. I tell people, I'm like, I think there's so much stuff around and rubbish around marketing and this and the tactics. And it's like, can you just show up and actually be yourself? Like, whether it's like you're selling a personal brand and you're an influencer, right? It's like, what makes you you? That's what really people are connecting with, is what makes you you. I tell people all the time, I am not Jeff. I'm not anybody else. The way I speak on camera, the way my content comes across, yeah, we're all, like you said, we're all saying a lot of the same things because sales is just the fundamentals. And we have different ways and styles of delivering it and connecting with people. But at the core of it, the essence of it is just who I am and my style. Right. And so I think your content, there are a couple of things of, you want to have content that's educational, right? You have content sometimes it's a little bit entertaining, right? You have content that's sometimes disruptive, right? But I think at the end of the day, your content needs to be your content, right? Spend time being intentional about your content that you're delivering because it's a direct representation of you. And if somebody takes that content in, right, ingest that content, are they going to meet the same person when they meet you in person? Are they going to see the same person when they get on a discovery call? Because I think that's a lot of stuff that's going on nowadays. People are being very performative, or they're using AI and all this tech to put content out that doesn't really match or align with who they are. So then someone gets on a sales call and they've been engulfing and like, just engaging with you through social media and your content and your posts, and they get in a strategy call with you or a sales call with you or a discovery call, whatever you want to call it, a sales call. Right? You're interested in them. You're interested in working with them or buying something from them or whatever. And they're like, oh, it just, something was off. Yeah, the you didn't show up. The real you didn't show up. So be intentional about your content and be authentic to who you are and your style and how you connect, and actually, excuse my language, give a damn, like care, just simply care about what you're doing and how you impact people, because that's your message. And that's part of your brand. And it should be in alignment with truly who you are and what you stand for and what you say you're the expert for.
Yeah. And it again, I'm agreeing 100% with you, because at the end of the day, in almost every case, and there are some exceptions, but in almost every case, people do business with people, not companies. They do business with people. I mean, you
Say
could
it again,
argue that
Jeff.
Nike or Apple, that's not people, but people did believe in Steve Jobs. And you want Air Jordans, you're buying Michael Jordan, but for the most part, you're buying Nike or Apple. But almost all other sales, it's like you're dealing with a human being. When I worked for a very well-known sales trainer with a large sales training organization before I opened my own, his name opened doors for me. But when I met with people to sell his programs, they weren't buying him. They were buying me and my ability to deliver his material. At the end of the day,
Yes.
you've got to be real. If you're not, why would you want to be anybody else anyways? Because you're right. When you show up, they're going to go, who are you?
Yes. It's I'm telling you, it's a misalignment, and people pick up on it so quickly. And a lot of times people are like, I just don't know what it was. Like, it was because I do these like, kind of like these research feedback calls with my one-on-one clients. So when the sale is lost, I always say it's not lost. There's something to learn there. And it's really interesting to hear the perspective or the prospect or the lead explain, what was missing. Right. And then when I coach that back, I'm like, so what do you think? And they're like, oh, yeah, when I watch back, it doesn't feel like me. My body language is off. I'm nervous. I feel like I'm having an out of body experience. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, your head is way in the game, way in the way. Like, you have to break that down, because people don't understand, like, the power of connection and communication and energy is everything. It's who we are. It's the essence of how we communicate as humans. And sales is communication and energy. It is. And then beneath that is the sales process and the sales strategy of how you go about doing it to ensure that you're consistent with it and can gain success by consistently doing something. Right. So it's very, very powerful, the content and the things that you say in social media, because people see it, and they know. Like, I would dare to say, like, my friends, some of them who have become clients, who've come to me, they'll be like, oh, that is so you, like, I can see your content, I can hear, but I can tell you, if I was off and I try to go some new direction or let somebody else create my content, like, I can guarantee you that would be felt. That'd be like, ooh, that's not really you. So I think it's just being intentional. It's being intentional and having the right strategy of how you're going to deliver that messaging and the cadence. For me, I have a process that I use to get down to that and distill to that. So yeah, it is a process. And AI can't, and let me just say this, AI is a very beautiful tool, right? But I think not all of them are created equal. And I think it has to be used in the right way, in the right way.
Yeah, well, you've got to take what AI says and then make it your own. It's a great start, and it can be a big time saver. And I think eventually it's going to become more and more powerful and more able to sound like us, but not yet. And sadly, we're out of time. I could talk to you for hours and hours. So I'm going to share my screen, and if you would tell people, in case they're interested, how they can reach you, how they can work with you, and if you would, some people are watching us live, but for those who aren't, this will be converted to a podcast shortly. How can they reach you if they're interested?
Yeah. You know what? The easiest way, NatashaHemmingway.com with 2 M's. I mean, wherever you go, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, it's always the same. There's a free download there that talks about what wealthy people know that you don't, that you have access to. I think it's just reaching out, whether it's me or somewhere else. If you know that you need the support, I just encourage you to research your options and do what you need to do to get the support that you need to get better at sales. That's it.
Gotcha. And so NatashaHemmingway.com is your website. People can go there, or they can find you on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Excellent.
Instagram,
Perfect.
any of those things.
Well, Natasha, we are out of time. And again, I could talk to you all day, but I really appreciate you. And thank you for sharing your brilliance so generously. And I will end this as I always do. Gang, please remember, sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, Natasha. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeff. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.